everyone and welcome to Let's Talk Wrestling Reviews Lucha Underground, and we are on episode 9, which of course is the home of Aztec Warfare this week. My name is Turbo Tony, your weekly reviewer of this show. Every single week I'm here to tell you whether or not you should spend your hard-earned time and money in terms of watching Lucha Underground this week. And of course, you know, I think this episode was a lot of fun, and I'm going to go into it there. All the things I liked about this week's episode, and it pretty much was taken up entirely with that Aztec Warfare match that they seem to have been building up to over a course of time. Just before we get into that, got to get those plugs out of the way. Let's get them over quickly. I know it's all, we just got to get it out there for you guys to be able to interact with us, of course. And one of the best ways to do that is our Facebook page, facebook.com/Let's Talk Wrestling Podcast. You can also follow us on Twitter, which is the Twitter handle of @TalkWrestlePod. And send us an email or an audio question if you want that to be aired here on the show. And that is Let's Talk Wrestling Podcast @gmail.com. So there we go. All done. There we go. All done. So, we should probably get into this week's show, okay? So, building up into this week's show, over the last couple of weeks we've been building up to Aztec Warfare. And for people that maybe don't know what that is, I mean, this is only the second one that's happened, right? Aztec Warfare is essentially Lucha Underground's version of the Royal Rumble. Every 90 seconds, new guy comes in. Instead of being thrown over the top rope for elimination, it is pinfall submission. So that's their twist on it. One of the ways that they change it, though, which is pretty cool, is that they do have the countdown clock, as you're used to on these Royal Rumble events, but they've got like these, these drums that these almost like these war drums that build up to these guys coming in. So it feels very thematic and very, it fits the bill when it comes to Lucha Underground and the sort of aesthetic that they definitely adhere to, right? You can't call yourself Aztec Warfare and not go, overboard with it a little bit. So, but a lot of these storylines have been building up. A lot of them are looking like they're going to live under the same roof for a night. As this show ended, it was clear to see that the dynamic of the show is drastically going to change. That this was a show that almost ends the first chapter of season 2, if you can kind of call it that. That's how it felt to me, and I'll explain why I felt that at the end of the review. So first off, before the match even begins, we've got Phoenix backstage with his new Lucha Underground Championship that he won last week from Mil Muertes. Pentagon is talking a little bit of smack to him, saying that he might, he's coming for the championship as well. But Katrina tells him that he doesn't have an invitation for Aztec Warfare. He lost that right when he attempted to attack her. So he's paying for those mistakes. She says the only reason that Pentagon Jr. has zero fear, Cero Miedo, is because he's never really experienced what true fear actually is. And Mil will take his championship back, and then she disappears into the darkness. That's literally the only backstage segment in the entire night. I know usually on a Lucha Underground episode, you're normally looking around about 3 backstage segments of this sort of ilk. No, this was the only one. It was all about the Aztec Warfare match. Nothing else was standing between us and beautiful Aztec Warfare violence. And that particular description may even let you into a little bit of hint about what happened on that show. So, good stuff. Talking of the match, now, the way I'm going to review this, because this entire show, as I said, was only the Aztec Warfare match. I mean, you're talking about a Royal Rumble match, is 20 participants, and they've only got like an hour, they've got 40 minutes without outbreaks, right, to fill, so it does take up the entire show. I thought maybe they might try and fit one other match in, but really looking at it, there really was no other way, unless they wanted to damage both of those matches. So having Aztec Warfare as the only match on the entire show, I can't blame them for it, exactly, so that's fine. And that's the way I would have done it. It's the way I enjoy it more, to be honest. I wouldn't want them to shoehorn matches in. They had a couple of weeks ago where they tried to do 4 matches on the card, and it just seemed like the entire show was squished. In fact, I think that's probably one of the episodes I wasn't as keen on over the course of this season, sorry. So, who is out there? Famous B. is out there. He's making his debut, not by wrestling. He's just out there picking out talent to represent. He's got his lady beside him. And there's no better match. If you want to pick one match to scout out new talent, then you get to see all of them here in one match. And he's got a front row seat for that. He's got these golden business cards that he's handing out to people as the match goes on. Because you know what? He'll make them famous. Maybe I should get in touch with Famous B. Maybe he'll help the podcast, right? He'll make us famous, guys. Okay? So Phoenix, as we know, is the number one participant of the match. But number two is Rey Mysterio. That's right, making his debut. And it's been far too long since I have seen Rey Mysterio do his thing in the ring. His last years in WWE were... They just weren't as they should have been. You know, the contract dispute, all that sort of stuff, him leaving the company. There was just too many years where this guy was clearly able to wrestle, and he just wasn't, right? I get the feeling that him leaving WWE was almost like a breath of fresh air for him. And obviously he's received like a hero. He's a big player, right? In terms of star power, he kind of takes over from Del Rio, right, from last season. He is the big star that wrestling fans know, and you know, people that wouldn't watch Lucha Underground would still know Rey Mysterio. He's quite a well-known name, right? He made quite a name for himself in WWE. And he's a big acquisition for Lucha Underground, and the guy's clearly not Mr. B. He's still great. He's still in good shape. And for someone as innately talented as Rey Mysterio, and over the years that he's plied his trade, you don't just lose that overnight. And clearly that's the case of it there. King Cuerno, number 3, has a lengthy history with Phoenix already in season 2. Never mind anything that might have transpired between them in season 1, right? Ark Ennis is number 4, and if you're wondering what that name is, I don't blame you, because apparently he was in season 1. If he did, then he didn't play much of a role at all, because I honestly, guys, I apologise if I should, but I don't have any recollection of Ark Ennis. But to be honest, when I came out, I thought, well, this guy looks like a jobber, first of all. And he was quickly beaten. He was the first eliminated. Mysterio beats him. So before I can ponder about who he was, where he is, and where he's going, he's gone, right? I expect that was by design. Johnny Mundo, number 5. But we all know that Johnny Mundo isn't any sort of man. I was aching for a real man in this match. I'm sure someone's going to take a soundbite of me saying I'm aching for a real man. I'm sure that will happen, but sure. But I tell you who is all man. The man with the iron penis. And he is number 6, Joey Ryan. There is no man manlier than Joey Ryan on this roster. We've already made that assumption. We already know that's true. And what he does here is, in both shades, smart and dumb at the same time. He handcuffs himself. God, that's a really poor choice of words when it comes to him. Handcuffs himself to the outside to prevent him from being pinned in the ring. Fair play, right? Keeps him... That way he can never be eliminated if that's the case. The problem is, by handcuffing himself, is that he's basically rendered himself completely defenseless for a beating, and as every luchador goes around the edge of the ring, they give him a good shot just for measure. So he takes quite a beating in this match as he's chained himself up to the outside. He still gets a Famous B golden business card though, so maybe Famous B likes his ingenuity in this and thought, you know, or maybe he just doesn't care. He just needs any sort of clients. Maybe that's a thing there. Number 7, Prince Puma. Doesn't take long before he basically takes out the majority of the field. Not an elimination for quite a while in this match. You're talking about, like, you were on number 7 and only one person's been eliminated. But just as I was typing that in my notes, Jack Evans comes out and King Cuerno, as Jack Evans is coming out at number 8, King Cuerno is tapping out already to Mysterio's armbar, which is quite unique because I've never, ever, ever in my life, and maybe I'm wrong with this, it's just off the top of my head, I've never even seen Rey Mysterio tap someone out for a victory. It's just kind of unheard of, right? I can't remember any sort of case where he's beaten someone by a submission in his WWE run, and if it happened, it must have happened very rarely, right? He's not exactly associated with a submission wrestler, so fair play though. An armbar's an armbar. You can't get around that. Taya is number 9. A small faction starts to build up with Mundo and Evans teaming with each other, and of course that builds up with Taya coming down. I think she's the only female participant of this match. No Trios champions in this match or anything like that. No Disciples of Death. So Evilise wasn't in there. Sexy Star not there either. Cobra Moon not there. No, yeah, she was the only woman in the match. So, still. I'm surprised that she's still alive after the beating she received from from Cage. Because of Mundo, right? They end up clearing the field. They team up and clear the field. Until Cage, of all people, comes in at number 10. And of course we know the rivalry here. What I liked about this Aztec Warfare is that every single entrant into this match, it changed the dynamic of where the match was and who's fighting who, and rivalries into rivalries. It all meant things as it continued forward. Right, it was all big stuff. There was feuds within the match that kept the storyline of the match going on, and it kept it fresh, kept it unique. Right. Cage comes in. He fights for a little while, but Mundo is able to get on top of him. He does have the numbers game on Cage. However, Mundo is able to fight him off and drive him through Katrina's office window. That window which has been destroyed and multiple times by multiple people. It surely has more replacements than Famous B's car parts, right? I'm sure that, I'm sure that he has to deal with a lot of car parts in his very second-hand car game that he's involved in. And there's obviously managing pro wrestlers along those lines as well. That being said, Cage emerges less than a couple of seconds later. He almost damn near no-sells it, even though he's been driven through a window. He's got blood on his head, but we know this. He's not a man, he's a machine, right? So he completely kind of no-sells it. Number 11, Mascarita Sagrada. Haven't seen much of him. He's a little wrestler. I think that's the PC term. But I'm sure that PC doesn't really fit into much with Lucha Underground. So, but still, I have to be somewhat, on the show. Famous B loves what he sees with Sagrada. Cage lays out Mundo with the Weapon X on the outside, which sets up Puma to eliminate him. So with Mundo saying that he was going to go the limit and win this year, he's actually one of the first group to be eliminated from the actual match itself. So, still. Number 12, Marty the Moth. He's still a creepy-ass motherfucker. There's not really much else to say with that. He's doing his thing. He's got his greasy t-shirt, and he's doing his thing, shall we say. Number 13 is Drago, dressed in all white. And if there's ever an auction for this guy's gear, his wrestling gear in 10 years' time, you can expect me to see me at that auction. I will be bidding good money because I think I've made it known throughout this series so far, and even beforehand on the main Let's Talk Wrestling show, that I love this guy's gear. I adore it. I think it's awesome. I think it's great. I need myself a Drago mask before my time is done on this earth. It needs to happen, and I hope it does. Jack Evans is worried. They've got the rivalry between them, but it's Joey Ryan who gets the green mist instead. He's getting hit by loads of people here in the course of this match. I very much doubt that the cameras could even catch the people giving him odd hits and shots here and there. I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself now here. So Sagrada here, he pins Marty the Moth. He's eliminated from there. I'm not sure if Sagrada's going to become like a main guy in Lucha Underground, or whether or not they brought him in just for this match. But still, they got the pin for Marty the Moth. Marty's main rivalry is with the Mac, and funny enough, talking about the Mac, he's number 14 who comes to the ring. He gives Marty a stunner, and then they have a cool moment where he fights Cage. Remember their match at Ultima Lucha last year. Well, not last. Yeah, it was last year. Sorry. Last season at very least. Chavo number 15. He talking of Chavo, this week was the only time that I saw Chavo on my TV screen. He was on a show called Grimm, which I watched with my wife, She's quite a big fan. I just kind of watch it. I do like it. I'm not as big a fan as her. But funny enough, he played a luchador in that who ends up getting killed by another luchador who takes this mask that ends up turning him into a monster. So, all in all, not that much different from Lucha Underground, really, when you look at the blunt thing and things. I'm surprised that Lucha Underground might not just steal that storyline for themselves in Season 3 with this mask gradually turning this guy into an actual animal and killing people, right? So, and he does end up dying in that show, so it doesn't bode well entirely for Chavo here, but still. I do recommend Grimm, by the way. It's a good show. If you like that sort of show, that's fine. It's okay. He dispatches Sagrada in a camel clutch. All the while, Johnny Mundo gets a cinder block, and if a window isn't going to take out Cage, and the cinder block clearly is, he hits him over the head. He's eliminated by Taya, but then Taya then gets eliminated, I think, straight after that. It's a crazy couple of minutes where they needed to thin the numbers, and quite a few eliminations happen back to back. PJ Black is number 16. He slams Drago all over the crowd. He's now got Black and Jack Evans against him, and he's now got to fight the pair of them by himself. But of course, the last time he's had to fight both of them himself, he had a little bit of help in the form of number 17, Aerostar, making his first in-ring appearance this year in Lucha Underground in Aztec Warfare. Drago and Jack Evans are both eliminated simultaneously. Aerostar literally annihilates Evans. Evans gets destroyed in what I could only call, this is the only way I can describe this move by Aerostar. It's like a top rope sunset flip catch pile driver. If that sounds sick, it's because it was. Evans sold this as if he basically had a broken neck. Like he was destroyed at night. Like he couldn't even move. The referees had to drag him out, right? And fair play, because it looked horrendous. It looked, not in terms of the move looked bad, it just looked sick. It looked awesome and horrible in all different facets of it. So number 18 then. We're getting towards the end of the pile here. Dragon Azteca Jr. makes his debut. Now, I don't know about the guy who's playing him. I haven't had the time. I'm literally recording this straight after watching the show myself. I don't know who's playing him, but he's certainly no scrub. He clearly knows his stuff. He's flipping and diving everywhere. He even jumps over the turnbuckle here. So, I mean, he was taught quite well by Rey Mysterio in terms of storyline, I guess. But whoever is playing him, he certainly knows his stuff. He can certainly pull off some good matches here. And he looks the part. I will give him that. It'll be interesting to see where this Dragon Azteca Jr. character is going to end up, right? How I'm guessing he's going to have to try and prove to everyone that he can take the mantle of Dragon Azteca. Tejano is number 19. He takes out PJ Black and eliminates him. There really wasn't anything else to speak about Tejano. In fact, I'm looking at this guy with the Chavo storyline. I know I've been very critical so far of this, but I hope he gets out of what he's doing at the moment, because currently I do think he's got potential, and I hear in AAA that he does some good stuff. But maybe it's just not translating in Lucha Underground. Maybe it's the storyline or whatever. I don't know. But I look at him and I think, yeah, this guy could be quite fun to watch, and clearly he's not a bad pro wrestler. But it's just not working at the moment for him on Lucha Underground. And as we know, number 20 is Mil Muertes. I love saying that name, by the way. Just saying that. However, as he comes down, he doesn't get far at all before Pentagon Jr. emerges from the crowd, takes out the former champion. He sets up Muertes, who gets splashed by Mysterio, and alongside Puma, I mean, they basically take a leg each. They pin him. He gets pinned. He literally, within a minute of him being out there, Mil Muertes, people. We're talking about Mil Muertes gets eliminated. He's probably the guy who got in and got eliminated the quickest, right? Which is a big shock. So Muertes is clearly, he's furious. He's absolutely incensed. He chases Pentagon through the crowd and to the outside. We don't see them again. Katrina is livid. She's absolutely going ballistic. She calls out Vampiro to leave the temple. She's telling him, go, you're gone. Leave before I destroy you. She is going absolutely apeshit. But then the clock starts ticking down again, and obviously this is a bit strange because 20 entrants, right? All 20 entrants out. Mil was the final guy. Matt Striker blames it on technical difficulties. I like how he plays dumb. But no, there is a number 21 entrant. And of course, who is there to tell us who that entrant is? Dario Cueto. His first appearance in the Temple this season. He is received like a hero. He is cheered as he tells everyone. The entire match basically stops for him. All the guys have just stopped wrestling. They look up at him. They're shocked. They're amused. El Jefe, the boss, is back. And he announced that his brother will be the final entrant into the match. And Katrina can't really stop him. Her guy's gone in a fit of passion and fury, right? He's chasing Pentagon. He's not coming back out. So who's she going to tell this hulking behemoth, the monster Matanza Cueto, who is a absolute... When we saw him last week, you see him again, he is massive. He is huge. He's not particularly tall, but he has the strength and he has the size on him. He's this stocky guy that you just wouldn't want to get anywhere close, right? So he comes in. With Mil gone, I'd asked the question to myself, who can stop this man? And the answer was, no one. The match from this point on, with Cueto coming out and Matanza coming in, and from Muertes' elimination, the match kicked up another gear. It's like they were almost like waiting for this moment for it to just go absolutely haywire. And there's a lot of people still involved in the match. He eliminates Phoenix with ease straight away, so we're guaranteed to have a new champion already as soon as he comes out. Matanza no-sells a Max Stunner, and then gives him a German suplex that I can only say that Brock Lesnar would be proud of. The first of a lot of very dirty German suplexes. You got this guy who's obviously got a clear amount of strength, and he can hoist these not particularly small guys up into the air. It's quite the visual, right? And I haven't seen whoever's playing Matanza. I haven't seen him wrestle before. As far as I know, he's actually quite new. He didn't look out of place here. And maybe that's one of the things that the editing maybe helps with it. Maybe he did do a couple of moves here and there wrong. But that's the glory of this show not being live, right? Is that they can mask someone. Maybe he was fine. I'm just saying in general, right? For the moves he did, he certainly looked the part. And he doesn't have to go around and bump around a lot. Aerostar gets a German suplex. He's eliminated. He powerbombs Tejano. He's eliminated. Suddenly the ring starts clearing because nobody wants part of Matanza. They start clearing out for him. But who's the one guy who unfortunately has locked himself in place and cannot get away? It's Joey Ryan, who's still there. He's still with his cuffs. He's still cuffed to the outside. Matanza just straight up rips the iron bar off and then releases Joey Ryan into his incoming death, shall we say. And as we know, he gives him a dirty-ass move, eliminates him. Dragoness Tekka starts giving him a good fight, actually. He tries to use his speed, but a chokeslam later. He's eliminated. Quite a funny moment in this match. Chavo's still in the match, right? And, you know, he's dirty, he's grimy, he's trying to make allies with Dario Cueto. And Dario Cueto's like, sure, yeah, you'll be my ally. Sends him into the ring to go help Matanza, and just as Chavo's getting into the ring, Cueto, his entire facial expression changes, and he just slits his throat as a symbol to Matanza, just like, yeah, just kill him, just get him over, just destroy him. Which, of course, his brother is more than happy to oblige. He destroys Chavo, eliminates him. With what was... So, I was talking a little bit earlier on that I don't know how good this guy is, Matanza, right? I don't know where they find these big guys in Lucha Underground, because Mil Muertes is a big guy, but he can do a lot of stuff. Like, he was doing planches outside the ring. When you've got Matanza doing standing shooting star presses... Yes, that should not be correct. That is absolutely bonkers. I don't know where they find these guys in Lucha Underground, but it's like, are you a big guy? Yes, I am. Yeah, so you could be a big guy, but we require you to do all this stuff that Johnny 200 pounds over there can do. And he's like, well, yeah, I can do that. Fantastic, you signed. That's basically it. A standing, I mean, I don't even know how that's possible with a guy. I mean, the more weight you have, the harder it is to regulate that when you're jumping and twisting in the air and doing these sort of moves, right? So big props to him for doing something like that. Mysterio and Puma, they're the last two guys apart from Matanza. They work together, but it's not long until Prince Puma is eliminated with another dirty German suplex, leaving Mysterio and Matanza, the two guys that debuted here on the show, along with Dragon Azteca, right? He hits the 619, but Matanza catches Mysterio from the top rope, gives him a big-ass slam, and then wins the Lucha Underground Championship on his debut match. And of course, whoever holds that championship, especially with who's beside him, in his brother and Dario Cueto, the entire landscape of Lucha Underground is changed. So it looks like Katrina is going to have her hands full. She may not even be around next week as Cueto assumes his role. So yeah, it looks like Dario Cueto, his plan has succeeded, right? And I'm sure he'll have Black Lotus next to him next week. So we might get to see her wrestle more and more. So that's a good thing. So my review of this show as it goes off the air with Matanza holding the championship up high. I thought this was a mental show. I thought that I really liked the match. It stayed fresh throughout the entire 45 minutes that maybe it was on. Non-stop action. Every new entry, something new was offered. A rivalry was renewed. They played off of the histories of some of these guys. And the storylines going forward are going to change drastically because Dario Cueto is back in control of the temple. The only thing that I'm a little bit worried about here, I know they're probably going to be heading towards something with him. And with Lucha Underground, it's good with them that when I worry about a guy not being used as well as I think they should, normally they prove me wrong and they've got a good storyline for him down the line. And that's Mil Muertes. Mil Muertes has had a bad season so far. And what I mean by that is that he got his arm broken in Season 1. Yeah, he came back like a beast and won that triple threat match. And that's probably the best week in terms of his character that he's had, right? But then he lost the title the week after. And then this week he gets pinned right, literally, as he starts. A little bit worrying because I'm a big fan of Mil. And I do hope that they don't think of him in a way that we've got a new monster in Matanza. We can put Mil on the back burner. Mil Muertes is awesome. I love his character, and I think he's a really fun pro wrestler to watch. And I do trust Lucha Underground that they'll eventually do good by him, but currently at the moment, not seeming like that's the case at the moment. It's not been a great season for him, shall we say. But I tell you what, that moment where Cueto came out and revealed himself, and the fans popped for it, that was an absolute awesome moment. That is one of the moments that I'm sure that they'll have in their video packages going forward. It was one of those moments that gave me goosebumps, legit goosebumps. It was a hell of a lot of fun. So a good thumbs up for this week's episode of Lucha Underground. Definitely go out and watch it. It was a lot of fun. I'm sure that you'll get something out of it, even if you don't like some storylines. I'm sure you'll like the action. There's some good stuff here. One of the common things that I've heard is people say that they don't like Lucha Underground for is because it's a little bit too soap opera-y. I don't even think that's a word. That's a really bad description. It's too much like a soap opera. I disagree because I like it. But if you're looking for more a show that's more dedicated towards in-ring action, then this is definitely the one for you. I mean, the entire show is them wrestling, right? And there's a lot of decent spots. And my daughter actually, she's here next to me. Come over. You're part of the review now. You haven't watched Lucha Underground yet. Would you like to watch it? Say you don't want to watch it, no? Why don't you want to watch it?
I don't want to.
You don't want to? No. I will get her, guys. I will get her watching this at some point. I'll pre-watch something that she'll like really well, and she did watch the first episode with me on the week to watch Evilise face Mil Muertes, so that's good stuff. But apart from that small interruption there, I'll do all my plugs again, and then I'll leave you guys get to your days. I hope you guys did enjoy this review. We hit over 600 subscribers this week, so that's been awesome fun. Thank you very much for that. And if you want to interact with us, Facebook is a great place to do that. Facebook.com/Let's Talk Wrestling Podcast. You can also follow our Twitter account, which is @TalkWrestlePod. And one of the other things you can do as well is send us emails and audio questions. You can send that to the Let's Talk Wrestling Podcast @gmail.com. Plenty of ways to get to interact with us and send in your questions. Any of the Lucha Underground questions can be sent directly here on the comment section below, and I'll answer them next week. Apart from that, guys, hope you have a great week. Catch you at the weekend, and I hope you enjoyed this week's episode. Thanks a lot, guys. See you next time.